This is a beginning algebra assignment due May 6th, the last regular assignment. We start with 6.1, 65, and 66. I got them turned around. 66 is on the left side, 65 is on the right side. When you have four terms, you try to factor by what we call grouping. First two, look what goes into both. X squared goes into both, leaves us 2x minus 1. The next two, if they start with a minus, you take a minus out, and then 5 goes into both. Minus 5 times 2x minus 1. Then 2x minus 1 is in both, so you take 2x minus 1 out in front of x squared minus 5. Always check with FOIL. Then on 6.2, okay, three terms. The first thing you always look for is the greatest common factor. 3 goes into both of these terms, goes out in front. Then you've got to know your arithmetic. Your product number is 21. Your sum number is 10. 10 here, 21 here. Find out what two numbers multiplied together give you 21, add up to be 10. So the 3 we had out in front, the common factor, then x plus 7, x plus 3. 26, your greatest common factor that goes into all three, and you always look for a greatest common factor. Sometimes there's not one, but 3x goes into everything, leaves you x squared minus 4x minus 12. The product is negative 12. The sum is negative 4. What two numbers added together and multiplied together give you negative 12 by multiplying, negative 4 by adding, negative 6 and 2. So it's 3x times x minus 6 times x plus 2. You check with FOIL by foiling these two, then multiplying by 3x. The last one, no common factor, but x starts out both binomials and y at the end of both. Then negative 77 is your product, negative 4 is your sum. The two numbers that give you negative 77 and add up to negative 4 are negative 11 and 7. So x minus 11y, x plus 7y. Check with FOIL. Then number 29, same way, and 30, no common factor. Product is 60, sum is 19. Sometimes you have to work a while to find the two numbers that multiply together to give you 60 and add up to be 19, 15 and 4. Then factoring by grouping, 25 through 28 on 6.4. This gives us a method of breaking down these. Okay, 26, 21x squared minus 13x plus 2. Your product is taken by finding 21 times 2, which is 42. Your sum is the middle number, negative 13. What two numbers give you 42, positive 42, add up to negative 13, negative 7, and negative 6. So you put negative 7x and negative 6x instead of negative 13 in the middle. And then we factor by grouping. 7x comes out of the first two, leaves us 3x minus 1. Negative 2 comes out of the next two and leaves us 3x minus 1. And then 3x minus 1 is your common factor out in front times 7x minus 2. And always check with FOIL. 27 and 28. Okay, 28 has a common factor. Greatest common factor. X goes into all three terms, so we take it out. Then we are factoring 3x squared plus 8x plus 4. 3 times 4 is our product, 12. Our sum is 8. What two numbers give you 12 and add up to be 8? 6 and 2. So we change the middle term, 8, to 6x plus 2x. Then we factor by grouping. First two, 3x comes out of that, leaving you x plus 2. Last two, 2 comes out, leaving you x plus 2. X plus 2 is your common factor. So x out in front, x plus 2 your common factor, times 3x plus 2. Then on 6.5, it's either, these are two terms. They're either two cubes or the difference of two squares, or not factorable, but most of them are going to be factorable. Look at 34. It is two cubes, obviously, because x cubed, y cubed. But always look for your greatest common factor. 3 goes into both, leaving you 8x cubed minus 27y cubed. Okay, that 3 is going to be out in front. The first thing you do is take the cube root of both of them. Cube root of 8x cubed, 2x. Cube root of negative 27y cubed, negative 3y. So 3 times 2x minus 3y is there. Now the rest of it. Second thing you do is square the two numbers you just got. You square 2x, and you see we put 4x squared. You square negative 3y, we put 9y squared. That's the second step. Then there's going to be a middle term. The middle term is found by taking 2x times negative 3y, which is negative 6xy, and changing the sign. Then if you distributed this times this, and then multiplied by 3, we would get the original problem. Then we've got them kind of mixed in. Number 35 and 36 are not two cubes. They're two squares. It's the difference of two squares. You've got to have a minus sign between the two squares for this to work. You take the square root of each of them, q and 11. Q minus 11, q plus 11. So there's no middle term. 38, difference of two squares. Square root of x squared, x. Square root of 225, 15y. So x minus 15y and x plus 15y. Then number 39 is obviously not two squares. It is two cubes. First thing, cube root of both. Cube root of 125, 5. Cube root of r cubed, r. So 5 minus r. Second, square those two things we just got. Square 5 is 25, and square negative r is r squared. Then the third step, multiply the 5 and the negative r together, negative 5r, and change the sign, and that's what's in the middle. And again, you could check that with the distributive property. Then 6.6, we have equations. This is the only part of the assignment where we have equations. Okay, number 19 should have been up here, but 19 and 20, here's the first thing. The first thing you do when you have an equation that has squareds in it, make sure it's equal to 0, then factor, then set each factor equal to 0. Number 22, make sure it's equal to 0 when you have a squared, make sure it's equal to 0, then factor x minus 3, x minus 2. This one with the 6 here is sometimes confusing. Make sure that these two numbers give you the right sign for the 6 and the right sign in the middle, which they do. X minus 3, x minus 2. Negative 3 times negative 2 is 6. Negative 3 plus negative 2 is negative 5. Then you set each of them equal to 0, and you find 3 and 2 as your answer. Number 23 and 24, sometimes people miss because the first thing you look for, okay, yes, you make sure it's equal to 0. Then you always look for a common factor, and we forget that. X is a common factor times x minus 3. Then no other factoring can be done, and we set each factor equal to 0. X equal to 0, x minus 3 equal to 0. And then we get 0 and 3 as our two answers. That concludes the homework for Chapter 6.